everybody. Hey, y'all. Welcome. This is Tanisha Carroll, and this is Mom Conversations. Welcome in. Let's get started. This is Mom Conversations. This is a place where we have conversations about motherhood, about mothering, um, chronically ill children. And this is a place where we are going to talk about all things mothers and their relationships with their children, relationships in general, and just all things that have to do with being a mother. Okay, and so I'm grateful to have you here for this our second episode. Yay! This is our second episode. I'm excited, and we're going to dive right in. So, thanks for joining me today. Again, I'm Tanisha. This is Mom Conversations. And so, we're going to have a few different segments in our show on a regular basis. And so, if you have not done so, please go ahead and like, subscribe, and share this video. Make sure that you click the notification bell so that you can know every time I upload a new video. Now, maybe you have discovered that on this channel, Mom Conversations is one of several types of video that I will be posting. And so the other type is from a group called Mommy and Me on Assignment. And that's where we talk a lot about mothers and tween daughters. And so if you have a tween daughter, let me tell you, go on over and find the videos that say Rethink Madness or Mothers and Tween Daughters and Music Therapy, because that is for you. All right, so today we are going to introduce the fact that I am the mother of a chronically ill child. And if you are the mother of a chronically ill child, I would love to hear from you about your story. And maybe we can feature it here in one of our new segments it's called Moms Making It Happen. And so if you are a mom of a chronically ill child and you are making it happen in this world, listen, I want to hear from you. So make sure you email me at imonassignment@gmail.com and we'll feature you and your story. So just to tell you a little bit about myself and my daughter, who is my chronically ill child. She was born with sickle cell disease. And sickle cell is something that you are born with. Like I said, it's not something you encounter over time. You can be born with a disease. You can have the trait. There are varying levels of sickle cell. Okay. And so when I found out, so let me go back. I have had sickle cell in my life, all my life, because I have sickle cell trait. And I have sickle cell trait because my mom was a sickle cell patient and she was a sickle cell survivor. And back in those days, my mom was born in 1948. And so in those days, they did not know what sickle cell was, why my mom was having all of the pain that she was having. So what happens with sickle cell is it is a disease that affects the red blood cells. And so the red blood cells are circular in general. Healthy red blood cells are circular. However, if you are a sickle cell patient, then all of your red blood cells do not have enough oxygen, and those cells become flattened and they end up being curved like a sickle. A sickle is what farmers use to kind of cut the hay across. Is that thing they swing it and it just cuts across? That's a sickle. And so because of the shape of the red blood cell, they called it a sickled cell. And so those cells can get stuck in all parts of your body. It can get stuck in your muscles, in your joints. It can get stuck in different parts of your blood vessels, in your brain, in the base of your neck, in your vertebrae. It can get stuck anywhere. And that means that if it gets stuck, there's a good deal of pain that's associated with those jam ups. And so I grew up with that. And my mom always was trying to help us because she was like, I got to prepare you for when I'm not here. So she would like teach us all kinds of things so that like how to cook, how to make sure and take care of each other, how to clean up. She taught us those types of things and put us in places where we could be exposed to things because her idea was, well, I might not be here, but you still can have access to these things. Okay. Thankfully, my mother lived a full life. She didn't live as long as I would have wanted her to. However, I was an adult when she passed away, as my brother was also an adult when she passed away. So we lived our childhood with her in our life, and that was a blessing. And so when I think about um, the fact that now I have a child who is chronically ill, but I have a lot more access to support than my mom did when she was growing up. Um, it's not where it should be, let me just say. It's not everything that it should be, but it's headed in a good direction. And there are definitely a lot more services available than there were when we were growing up. And so I found out that my daughter was a sickle cell patient when she was 3 months old, and they do it via a blood test. There's a 25% chance with every pregnancy, if you have the sickle cell trait and your partner has a sickle cell trait, there is a 25% chance with every pregnancy that your child will have the sickle cell disease. Now, my older son, he has the sickle cell trait just like me and just like my husband. There's a 50% chance with each pregnancy that you will have a sickle cell trait in the child. And so the thing about having a chronically ill child is that you have to pay attention to things that maybe the average person would take lightly. For example, the amount of water you drink. One of the reasons that those sickle cells get stuck is because red blood cells tend to be sticky, but when you drink water, it helps them to flow past each other more easily. But if you're not drinking enough water, they begin to stick together more easily. And so, can you imagine trying to make sure that a 11, 12, 13, 14, 15-year-old is drinking enough water? Because what do children want to drink? They want to drink juice. They want to drink pop. They want to drink anything but water, right? So over the years, we have just had to make it interesting where sometimes we'll put fruit in water, but you get tired of that. We'll put flavored electrolytes in the water. She sometimes likes that, and of course she gets to have juice. I don't limit her from, that's not true. I definitely limit the amount of juice, but I don't keep it from her like that. But mostly we drink water. And so, sometimes we do flavored water, what have you, but we try to help her to stay on track. So again, when it comes to chronically ill, you're also thinking about, well, if she has a fever, because a fever is a medical emergency for us. Whereas one child, they can have a fever, they're going to sleep it off, you're going to give them some medicine. Well, with a chronically ill child, you may have to watch it a little more closely because if there's an infection, of course, we know that fever is typically a sign of an infection. If there's an infection, that could cause other problems, physically speaking, and so we might need to go to the emergency room. Now, here's the thing about being mom of a chronically ill child. Well, really, any child. You know your child better than anybody else. So what may seem like an emergency to the average person, it might not be an emergency to me, because I know for me, I always wait 24 hours. If my child has a temperature, I wait. I don't run to the hospital. I wait at least 24 hours. If you have a temperature consistently without medicine for 24 hours, then I'm going to take you to the hospital. But if not, if you have it in the morning, but at night you don't, you have to learn things such as what are the baselines for your child? Because my child's temperature might be a baseline of 99.9, meaning majority of the time, that might be her temperature. If that's her temperature the majority of the time, then if it's 100, that's not a fever because her normal is 99.9. So that might seem odd to you, but it's not odd to me. Just like someone's heart rate. Their heart rate might be, you know, 80, 65. I don't know what a normal heart rate is. But if my child's normal is 90, it's not a big deal. But if her normal is 75 and it's 90 and it's consistently 90, that's something I need to pay attention to. All right. And of course, like I said, this is applying to a chronically ill child, but some of these things are for typically developing children as well. The difference is that I need to decide, is this an emergency? Do I need to go to the hospital? Because as I stated, a fever for my chronically ill child is a medical emergency. Because if she does have an infection, I need to get that taken care of as soon as possible. I need her to get antibiotics as soon as possible. Because for a person that is a sickle cell patient, let's say, for example, there is an infection and it's in her lungs. It could develop into what they call acute chest, which is similar to pneumonia. And so that clogs up her breathing, that limits her oxygen. And remember, oxygen is what is needed to have those red blood cells. And so this is limiting her health because she cannot breathe properly. She's not getting enough oxygen. All right. And so I want to just share with you that although I am the mom of a chronically ill child, I have been through so many things when it comes to my child, and I'll tell you more about our story as we go on. But the thing is that I have learned how to really pay attention to my children, both of my children, what works for one and what works for the other. Because what works for my child, my daughter, it doesn't work for my son, guaranteed. They're totally different. They look at life differently and they receive information differently and they express themselves differently. And so as a mom, it is my responsibility to learn them. So if you are a mom, then you need to know that treat each child individually because you're going to have to learn what works for each child. In the same way that when you hear the voice of your son and you hear the voice of your daughter, you can tell by what they say or how the voice is elevated what's really going on. Sometimes my daughter, who is very expressive, will scream at the top of her lungs. A person who's unaware may think there's an emergency. I, on the other hand, most likely know that she is playing around with her dad and, maybe tickling or wrestling or something. But it's going to be a blood curdling scream, okay? And it's like, why are you screaming like that? But that's her personality. That's who she is. And as her mom, I know that and I understand that and I can tell the difference, versus where if she just gives a really low, like, that's pain. That's pain and I know the difference. And if there's pain, then I need to help her address the pain. So I want to encourage you, if you are the mom of a chronically ill child, one, I want to just encourage you to make sure you're taking care of yourself. because you cannot be there for your daughter or your son if you are not taking care of yourself. Just like I have to make sure my daughter's drinking enough water, I also got to make sure that I'm drinking enough water, right? I got to make sure. I try to drink about at least 3 of these every single day on a minimum. And then you need to take care of yourself, but you also need to learn your child. Learn what works for them, learn how they receive information, and learn how to help them to support themselves. One of the things that I had to begin to do was not be the one to answer all the questions. My child's 14 now. She needs to know all the information. She needs to know what medication she's taking. She needs to be able to communicate how she feels. For a long time, they ask you at the hospital what's your pain level from 1 to 10, from 0 to 10? And she will always say 1,000. And so, but that's because she didn't have the words. The pain was so difficult. She did not have the words really to express it. And so all she could say is, this is the worst pain I've ever felt in my life. And so as she got older, I began to give her descriptive words. Does it feel like pins and needles? Does it feel like someone's hitting you? Does it feel like just a what do you call it? Does it feel like something that is just a soreness? Is it a soreness? And so we had to identify what the pains would feel like. And we began to associate the numbers with those descriptive words. Well, we had to learn that. We had to learn that. And so if you are a new mom and you have a child that's dealing with pain, think about some ideas about, well, what can I associate this pain to? Because soreness is not the same as being punched, is not the same as being stabbed, is not the same as having pins and needles. Those things are different. Well, which one is more painful? And you can associate that pain scale with those feelings, and that will help your child to be able to describe the pain that they might be in. I hope that's helpful to you. Listen, talking about being a chronically ill, the mom of a chronically ill patient is something that's important to me because we are often overlooked because it's like, oh, well, that's your job. You're a mom. That's what you do. And that's why this is called Mom Conversations, because mom, we need to have these conversations together where we're able to say, hey, yes, I am a mom. Yes, this is what I do, but I do still need to talk about it. I need to know that someone relates to me. I need to know that I am understood and I am heard with what's going on in my life and in the life of my child. So be encouraged, mom. You are not alone. So I want to take a pause right here and just say thank you. Thank you for watching this video, and thank you for being here on our channel. Mom Conversations is the show. So I told you before that we're going to have this segment called Moms Making It Happen. The other thing that we're going to start is called Did You Know? So today I'm going to share just a few facts about sickle cell. And so I want to know, did you know? Did you know that over 2,000 babies are born every year and diagnosed with sickle cell anemia? And did you know that sickle cell is not a Black disease? It is not an African disease. There are Hispanic countries, there are Greek Isle countries, Turks and Caicos, Italians, Sicilians, French that deal with sickle cell. So sickle cell, although in America it is more prominent in the Black and African American and Latino cultures, it is also found in other ethnic groups. So be aware. Sometimes we can pigeonhole people. And we don't want to do that, particularly when it comes to medical issues, because if you assume that something is one way, then you miss the opportunity to really know the truth, and you also miss an opportunity to be of support and be of help to someone. And so I hope that that was some good information that you did not know, but now you do. Now you do. Now you do. So the other thing about being the mom of a chronically ill patient is that you really do have to take the opportunity to make time for yourself. Like I said this a little bit earlier, are you taking care of yourself? So here's a question. I want to just take your temperature. I want to take your temperature. How are you doing today? How do you feel? Are you taking good care of yourself? When's the last time? When's the last time you took a shower? When's the last time you ate a meal that you wanted to eat? When's the last time that you just laid on the couch and watched a movie that you wanted to watch? Tell me, what's your temperature today? How do you feel? And I'll tell you about me. I feel good today. It's sunny outside, which is encouraging to me. I always feel better, when the sun is outside, even though it's a little bit chilly. It's a little bit chilly. But I feel good today, and I have a busy week, but I am looking forward to connecting with some friends and some people and getting some things accomplished this week. Now, with that being said, I also have to do laundry. I've been putting it off, but I got to get it done. So that is, although that's not a fun thing to do, it must be done. And so I'm in a good mood. So this is the perfect day to get it done. All right. So thanks for taking your temperature. Why don't you tell me in the comments, what your temperature is? How are you feeling today? And don't tell me how you're feeling about your children. Tell me how you're feeling about you. All right. So being the mom of a chronically ill patient, one of the things that I also do is I am particular about how I describe my child and sickle cell, because I never say my child has sickle cell anemia. Why? Because I don't believe she has it. And that may seem ridiculous to you because I told you at the beginning that she was diagnosed, right? Well, here's the thing. I believe that God is healing my daughter of sickle cell anemia. But guess what? There is no real cure, consistent cure per se, for sickle cell anemia. But I have never been one to say my child has sickle cell anemia. What I say is my child is a sickle cell patient, and she is. She goes to the doctor. She receives some medicine. That medicine is helping in her healing process. But also, I pray for my daughter that the Lord will heal her, that He will miraculously change her condition. And I believe He's going to do it. And I believe I'm going to live to see it. Now, you tell me, what are you believing for your child? Some situations, they may or may not be able to change immediately. They may change over time, or it could be your outlook, because maybe certain parts of what your child is dealing with cannot be changed. But, oftentimes doctors will be like, the child is never going to do this and they're never going to do that. And for me, if you're going to say never, I'm going to say, let me prove you wrong. And one thing about parents, mothers of chronically ill children, is we are always having to combat and come against what the doctors are telling us is our truth. If I don't accept the fact that my child is going to live in a sick way for the rest of her life, then I don't have to. And here's why I say that. Outlook is everything. Outlook is everything. Some things you cannot change, but I can change my outlook. I can change how I subscribe to it. I can change how I look at it. If I look at my child and I say, the more work we put in here exercising this your leg, the better your leg is going to feel. The more water we drink, the better you're going to feel, and the less you're going to struggle with a crisis, with a pain crisis. And I've seen it work. I've seen it work in our lives. And so I want to encourage you, mom of a chronically ill children, listen, have a positive outlook. A positive outlook breeds a positive outcome. Even if that positive outcome is just your ability to see beyond your current situation. You can do it, mom. You can see beyond what the doctors are telling you. Because guess what? They don't know everything. They don't know everything. And I know I might get banned for all of this, but I want you to know that I don't believe everything the doctors tell me. And I have been one. I'm going to tell the story in a few weeks. I think in February, I'll tell the story of a situation that happened with my chronically ill child in January of 2023. And it's a doozy. But guess what? I told those doctors, listen here, you don't get to say negative things about my child. I told them to their faces. So I'll tell you about that more. We'll talk about that more later. But listen, I want to thank you for being here with me. And before we get out of here, I want to share a mom that's making it happen. Now, this time, I want to share with you about my mom, because my mom is no longer living. However, when I was growing up, honey, she was making it happen. My mom and I did not always get along, as I think, sometimes parents and children don't. But I can definitely say that she went out of her way in a lot of ways to make sure that my brother and I could grow up and could be who we were supposed to be. She always took good care of herself. She went and she always got her hair done, and she always got my hair done at the salon. Always. Do you hear me? Every 2 weeks, we were in the salon. And in the summertime, I got my hair braided for the whole summer. And so we didn't go to the salon as much in the summer. Well, I didn't go in the summer, honey, because she went every 2 weeks. My mother was that mother who walked around with the rollers in her hair with a scarf on. Yes, that was my mama. Mind your business. That was my mama. And so my mom, she made it happen. She made it happen for her children. She made it happen for her husband. She made it happen for her family and those that she loved. And she went out of her way in a lot of ways. And I learned a lot of the things that I do now. I do it because my mom did those things when we were growing up. And I'll give you an example. I attended a funeral this week, and I don't really talk to this person on a regular basis, but our families are connected. We attend the same church. We love them. They are good. They've come to our home. They've been a blessing to us, and vice versa. And they're just a really sweet older couple. And the husband lost his father. His father was very elderly, but we showed up at the funeral. We do not know the father, but we know the son, and we know the grandson and the great grandson. We know this line, part of the lineage. And so when I was growing up, she would always show up for people who were in grief, who had lost someone. And she would do things that other people were not doing. Whereas other people were buying buckets of chicken and, maybe cooking a meal or whatever, she would buy breakfast food, or she would buy toilet paper and paper towel. That was something that stuck with me. And so those are the kinds of things that I do for people now when when they've lost someone in their family. And so that was her way of making it happen for those that she loved. She also was a woman who taught her children to love God and to serve in the church. And so that's something that's important to me. And she was always making things happen. I'll tell you one more thing. One more way that my mom made it happen is when I went to college, undergrad, my mother got a second job to send me to college. What? She got a second job so that I could go to college without um, any student loans. And so that's just a few ways that my mom was making it happen. And now I want you to go ahead and send me an email at imonassignment@gmail.com and let me know about a mom in your life who's making it happen. It could be a mom of a chronically ill child, or it could be you, or it could be a mom that you just love and you're proud of and you want to shout her out. So send me her information. Tell me her story. Tell me why she is a mom that's making it happen. Listen, I have enjoyed this conversation, and I know that for a while this is just a one-sided right now, but don't you worry. We're getting some people in the mix. They're getting ready to join the conversation. If you would like to join the conversation, again, send me an email at imonassignment@gmail.com, and we'll see if you are going to be a part of the mom conversations. Listen, thanks so much for joining me, and I look forward to seeing you soon. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Ring the notification bell so that you can get all the information as soon as I post it. You'll be made aware. All right, I'll see you next week. Bye.